Hey guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel, to my wonderland. Grab your cups of coffee because today I have for you 10 essential Valentine's Day movies. So these are 10 horror movies to watch on Valentine's Day, and I am particularly not a fan of Valentine. I kind of despise this whole thing. When the stores start to get all surrounded by hearts and teddy bears, I just want to barf. I just don't think that it is necessary to have this day. Like, if somebody loves you, they're going to let you know throughout the year, and if they don't and they compensate on Valentine's Day, then you better ditch that person. That being said, also please note that I am still a little bit sick, so in my video today and the next couple of videos I might sound a little bit different because the virus of the common cold has attached itself to me and it will not leave my body. But I still wanted to make this video, especially the Valentine's one, because it has to come up before Valentine's, so in case that you don't have anything planned, you can binge watch some of these movies. The first movie is the super obvious one, which is My Bloody Valentine, and this movie is a Canadian slasher movie that was released in 1981, but it also got a remake in 3D in 2009. So basically the premise of the story is that we have here a group of young adults that want to make this Valentine party, and there is an attacker that has this ski mask that starts to kill them in a killing spree, and it's fantastic. It's beautiful, it's really fulfilling. It's like, you know, the typical slasher movies where, you know, teenagers that have sex need to be eliminated. Well, in this movie, people that are celebrating Valentine's Day also get eliminated. This movie, the original one from 1981, has become kind of like a cult movie, and because of the violence and the gore, the original movie was cut a total of 9 minutes. Now in 2009 we got a 3D remake, and we have the same premise, but instead of being a Canadian production, this time is an American one. And one of the best things that I thought, you know, Jensen Ackles is in this movie, so even if it sucks, which it didn't actually, but I thought, you know, in the worst case scenario, I still get to see Jensen Ackles. If you don't know him, he plays Dean Winchester in Supernatural, which is one of my favorite series because supernatural stuff. On Valentine's Day 1997, 6 miners that were working get trapped in a cave-in, and 6 days later they are being all rescued, but they find 5 bodies and only 1 survivor. Harry Warden is the survivor, and the way that he survived is basically he killed his co-workers because he thought, you know, then he would have enough oxygen to survive until he could be rescued. 1 year after these events, our sole survivor, Warden, goes on a killing spree wearing a mining suit and a gas mask. This remake was actually shot in a real mine, so it does give you this kind of shadows everywhere and this kind of claustrophobic feeling, and it was actually, it ended up being a really good remake. Then we have Audition from 1999, and this is based on a Japanese horror novel by the same name. We follow the story of a widower, and his son is determined to find him a new wife, so they kind of make this fake audition in which these, you know, women are invited to kind of see if any of them is a potential love interest. He gets interested in Asami and she also corresponds him back, but after they start dating they realize that she has a way darker past than they thought. Then we have Videodrome from 1983, and this is a Canadian science fiction body horror movie, and let me tell you something, this movie was a trip. This movie was weird as it gets, so if that's something that you like, you're definitely gonna love this one. It is set in Toronto in the early 80s, and we're following the CEO of a television station, and one day he just comes across kind of like a television channel that is displaying a lot of, you know, mutilation, kind of like snuff movies that we consider nowadays. So they display a lot of extreme violence and torture, and he's trying to figure it out where this signal is coming from. But as he's trying to find this signal, he starts to get more detached from reality and starts having these hallucinations. So this movie is kind of specific and very weird. I would say if you liked Mandy, actually you might love this one because it's kind of like a trip, like Mandy was. So, you know, if you're interested, give it a try. Next we have Hellbound Hellraiser 2 from 1988. It is a British-American body horror movie, and it is the sequel to Hellraiser, and it's still very based on that first movie, and Clive Barker was involved in the first one as well as in the second one. We see the origin of Pinhead, who is a British military officer. So Elliot uses the Lyman configuration to reach, you know, the doorway that separates the real world from the Cenobites, because he wants to become a Cenobite. Like, why not? And Claire Higgins here plays Julia, which is a fantastic character, and it is this really hardcore bitch from hell that basically turns into this human form that she can maintain by feeding on the corpses of the guys that she lures to bed. She does feed on the blood of her victims, so in a way she is a vampire from hell. This is my favorite installment on the Hellraiser series because I just love the balance between, you know, the real world and the world of the Cenobites and everything that we get to see. Plus, it is a very romantic story, and I absolutely love the world of the Cenobites and everything we got to see in this movie, and it's always gonna be my favorite from the series, and maybe a movie that you would like to watch on your first date. Then we have Teeth from 2007, and this is an American comedy slash horror movie because basically we just have here a girl that has teeth on her vajayjay. This is a feminist twist on the horror cinema gender tropes, and it is about this girl that, you know, she wants to take revenge on men, and she discovers one day that she has this very special feature in her body, and basically she has teeth down there, and she decides to use it for evil purposes. Then we have Rec 3 Genesis from 2012, and this is a Spanish horror movie. I'm a fan of these series of movies, of the Spanish ones, not the American remake. Let's make that clear. And this movie is based on a wedding, so this is why it's here. It's celebrating love. One of the best things is that the infection has left the building, so we are now experiencing the plague in open broad daylight, and we are basically out from the original location of where everything started, and we find ourselves in a wedding. So basically the outbreak this time takes place in this wedding, and all of the guest list is being taken down by this outbreak. And disclaimer for one thing that I always love, which is a woman with a chainsaw, and this time wearing a wedding dress. If that is not a reason to watch this movie, I don't know. Now I would like to mention one of the old Hammer movies, and that is The Vampire Lovers from 1970. This is a British-American gothic horror movie, and it is inspired on the novel Carmilla. It is the first installment on a trilogy called the Karnstein Trilogy, and the second movie would be Lust for a Vampire in 1971, and the third installment would be Twins of Evil from 1972. All these three movies were very daring and very bold for the time where they were released, because they already had vampire lesbians, which was something that people were still a little bit shocked to see on screen. We're in a very peaceful hamlet in the 1800s in Europe, and we have this girl that starts to get this lust for blood and starts to wipe out the population there. Then we have Valentine from 2001, and this is an American slasher film. We are in a Valentine's school dance in 1988, and we have Jeremy, and he's an outcast, and he starts to ask girls to dance with him, and they all refuse him or give him excuses until this kind of overweight girl, you know, decides to make out with him, and then they're being discovered, and the girl decides to lie and say that Jeremy took advantage of her. So after the girl claims that, you know, he kind of abused her, our poor Jeremy gets beaten up, and also, you know, at school things are not great, so he eventually gets expelled and he goes to a reform school. And you probably guess where this is going. We are now 13 years later, and it is 2001. And we have now our group of popular girls that are preparing for their Valentine's Day and parties and stuff. And they start to get cards in their locker and things like that by a guy that wears a trench coat and has a Cupid mask, and he's here for revenge. Very pleasing movie. I just love slashers. They just kind of soothe my soul when I see these people being just killed. I don't know, it's just, you know, very basic movie, but I absolutely loved it. Then we have Pontypool from 2009, and this is a Canadian horror film, and I don't hear enough of it. And when I watched this movie, I absolutely loved it. And the thing that is connecting this to Valentine or love is that it is actually Valentine's night, Valentine's Day, when this outbreak happens. So we follow the story of this guy that works in the radio station, and he's on his way to work, and he starts to notice that people's behavior are kind of off. And while he's doing his radio program, you know, the town is being suddenly claimed to be under quarantine, and then he realizes that there's a pile of zombies that are trying to get into his radio station, and this is how it goes. It is a zombie movie, and I think that this movie deserves more awareness. I think it is a very underrated movie, and everybody should watch it. So if you have not watched Pontypool, now it's the time to do it. Then I also wanted to include a romantic zombie comedy film, and that is My Boyfriend's Back from 1993. Now, a lot of people are not gonna love this movie because it is not the best, okay? But it is very entertaining, and it has to do with love and Valentine, and it's also including zombies, so why not? So basically we have here Johnny, and he wants to impress his crush Missy, and he arranged this fake robbery at the store where she works, and the plan is people are gonna try to rob the store, and then he's going to become the hero by saving Missy. But things do not go at all like he planned, and he gets shot, and he is basically dying, and Missy goes to him at the store, and he asks her to prom, and because she thinks he's dying, she agrees. And basically Johnny comes back from the dead because he wants to pick up Missy and take her to prom. So this is kind of like how the comedy starts, you know, he just rings her bell and be like, hi, I'm here to pick you up for prom, but he's a zombie. So I don't know, it's kind of like a 90s fun comedy. It's nothing too deep or anything, but it is entertaining and a movie worth watching on Valentine's Day. So these were 10 essential horror movies to watch on Valentine's Day. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you've watched these movies, or if there are any other movies that you would like to include in this list, and then maybe I should check out this Valentine. Thanks so much guys for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for support and not to miss any more coffee times with me. If you also want to follow me on other social media, my links are down below, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!